Girl, what have I told you? Been thinking of all of the possible lyrical ways to come and approach you. Haven't been able to think about anything other than wanted to reach ya. I ain't trying to speech ya. I ain't gonna use any lyrics to impress ya. A gentleman from the start. I get you a drink at the bar, thinking that we get the gig at the loft. Telling me you wanna head to the car. Yo, what's up? I'm Jay Sean, and you are watching PopShift. I remember just being this sort of 9-year-old kid, just fascinated by how these people were, at the time they were rapping really fast. There were people like Fushnikens and Big L, and they all had this fast flow. And I was just mesmerized by it. So I used to copy them. I used to record it and rewind and forward and learn all the lyrics and feel the flow and copy the flow. I'd hear the beats. That's how I started beatboxing, because I'd emulate the beats. My parents obviously thought I was nuts. They were like, what is this guy doing? Because I'd be walking around the house. And they're like, you got that too, right? But I was like, for me, I was just enamored by hip hop. I was probably around 13, 14 when I really started taking rap seriously. It wasn't about emulating other people's raps. It was actually about writing my own. Because I had listened to hip hop so much and because I was a student of hip hop so deeply, I understood what it was like to structure a verse. I understood what it was like to rap about my life and my surroundings. So I would be very honest about my life. It was myself and my cousin who formed a group called Compulsive Disorder. It's a very nerdy name, but we were like medical students. Like we were going towards medicine at this point. We were like, super nerdy. So we took the name Compulsive Disorder. My friend, DJ Cypher, and us three would go after school to the record store at the time. It's called HMV. It was right around the corner from our school. And we would buy vinyl. And the vinyl was always an import from America. And each one was at least £7.99, £8.99 pounds. Back in those days, it's expensive. So we'd save up our money for a week or 2, 3 weeks to buy one vinyl, which would have an instrumental on it. And it was our favorite, like whatever our favorite song was at the time. We were like, yes, we got hold of it. And then we'd go back to Simon's house. We would literally just record on a microphone straight to a TDK cassette through while he was DJing. And that's how we started making our mixtapes. And those mixtapes would go around the school. At the time, I wasn't singing, I was just a rapper. Music for me was always a hobby, and I never took it seriously until it started. Back then, equivalent of going viral meant people were recording mixtapes and copying the mixtapes, and the mixtapes were spreading from school to college to college. And all of a sudden, people were like, who's this guy? I have his cassette. But it was that's what it was. And I love it. It was viral before viral was a thing. A lot of people were saying like, guys, you guys are actually really good. It should be beyond school. So we started entering talent competitions. And there was this one talent competition called Commander B's Night Flight. And it was the equivalent of Hot 97 in England at the time was Choice 969. Choice 969 was the biggest urban radio station. The competition went like this. You had to call up. You had to be one of the lucky ones to get picked up. And then you had to spit some bars down the phone. And you would either be like through to the round, or you just like what they had. It was like called flushed, and you get the toilet sound. I remember distinctly, it was around 11, 12 at night. I had an exam the next day, and I'm there on the phone to a radio station instead of like I was simultaneously studying. But when I look back at that moment, it makes me realize how important it is to listen to your intuition. That was what I was supposed to be doing at that time, picking up that call. And I was supposed to win the competition as the only rappers. There were 2 singers, and we were the only rap group that won out of the entire country. And we were the only brown boys. And it makes me realize that that's the universe's way of saying, bro, trust me, I got you. There's something you're meant to be doing in the future. You think you're going to be a doctor right now, but don't let this go. That's what gave me the confidence to be like, you know what, maybe I can make something of this. When I met Rishi Rich, that really changed the trajectory of everything, because up until then I was doing mixtapes and stuff at home and recording. I had never been into a real studio. It was literally just a handheld microphone. I was doing a circuit of shows in England as a rapper, as Nicky J, the rapper. I met Rishi Rich, and I remember I went up to him a couple of times and I was like, bro, I know who you are. I love your beats. I was like, I love your production. I'm a rapper. I do sing a little bit. At the time, I was just singing a little bit. And he was like, all right, see how it goes. And I was like, damn, okay. I went out a couple of times, still wouldn't get me in the studio. And then I was like, okay, I need to record something myself. I had at the time, like I said, it was only rapping. I had then written my first sort of full song called 1 Minute. I had a buddy of mine at school and his brother had a recording studio. And so I said, can I go and see your brother? And I really want to record this song. Bear in mind, it's the first time I'm ever recording my voice as a singer. I went there and I sang my first song that I'd ever written in his studio, and I had it on a CD. And I was like, okay, now I got something to play Rishi. I got in touch with Rishi Rich. I think we had just exchanged information. And I said, can I come and play you a song? He's like, all right, come to the studio. So I went to the studio and I played him 1 minute. And he listened to it. And then he was like, sing it live for me. And I was like, what? He's like, sing it. And I was like, okay. And I just sang it. Like, I wasn't afraid. I wasn't nervous. It was just, you're excited. And he's like, all right, man. He's like, we'll work. And I was like, okay, when? He's like, well, you can start something now. And I think we were messing around right then, having some fun with some music. And then I think the next sort of second or third session with him is when Dance With You came. I was always very, even as a very early songwriter, I always knew what I wanted my song to sound like. I've always been very heavily involved. Like I said, even production-wise, I knew what the beat, all of that stuff I was telling you earlier. What still is amazing about me and Rishi's chemistry, because when we still work together, we vibe together. We know when it works. We know when it clicks. There's no ego involved. If he does something I'm like, bro, I love that, but can we try this? It's like, cool, and I'll do a melody. And he's like, I love that, but try something else. We might find something better. It just works. And it was one of the most important songs we've ever written because it changed the entire landscape of music at the time. It had never been done. That kind of organic fusion of an Indian sound, Indian flute with sort of R&B hip hop drums, an R&B pop top line, a R&B hip hop, a rappy second verse, Punjabi vocals, all on one song, organically sounding like something completely fresh. And it was, because we weren't trying to make something groundbreaking. We were just doing what we knew. I grew up on Indian music, so did Juggy, so did Rishi, but we all grew up on hip hop and R&B too. And so we just did it organically. We put all our loves on one song, and that really changed everything. Man, I love the My Own Way album. Obviously, Ride It has a special place in my heart. But I love Just a Friend. You know, for me, it's such a beautiful song. Stay is so special. Maybe and Stay are very personal songs. They were like autobiographical songs at the time. You know, it's talking about actually what was going on in my life. In fact, a lot of it was. And I think Just a Friend as well, like a lot of those things. There's a lot of songs on that album that mean a lot to me because they were the kind of songs that I wanted to do, but there weren't too many cooks in the kitchen. A lot of it was me and Alan Sampson. I think it was me and the Orange Factory. So I wasn't working with too many different people. I was just working with people who understood and respected the kind of songs I wanted to make without having Suits and A&Rs and all these people going, oh, I don't know about that song, change this. Like, no, I'm not changing anything. This is the song I want to write. And that was the beauty of being able to do it independently. When people imitate or copy your style, it's flattering. So there was a lot of Indian kids who just started having the spiky hair with the frosted tips from Me Against Myself. And I was like, all right, second album, let's go for a whole different look. So I shaved my head, which was a really ballsy move considering that like a lot of people liked the trademark Jay Sean mullet and the spiky hair. But then I guess that became an iconic look. Of course, it's a beautiful thing when people kind of go, oh, I like that. I want to get my haircut like that. It's flattering. Because I was independent, man, I had to fund my own album. The money that I made on tour from the first album, I invested in myself. All the music videos, Ride It, all of that stuff, Stay, Tonight, Maybe, all of those music videos, I paid for myself. All of the production, I paid for myself. I remember all of the mixing. I came here to America, to New York, and I used to have cash in a traveler's kind of check, in like a bag, to pay all the people involved because it was me paying for my own creation. It wasn't some guy, accountant at a record label. It was me going around personally saying, thank you, thank you. All right, let's do another one. I will never forget those days. I think even the people who I work with will never forget those days. They were like, this guy's coming in with cash. And that's something which is almost quite innocent and sweet when you look back at what came off the back of that. And what came off the back of that was a record deal with Cash Money, because of the fact that I believed in myself and I believed in my own vision, and I wanted to make the music that I wanted to make regardless of who else had my back. Right? It was written in a garden shed, not in a humongous recording studio. Right? It was written in a garden shed of a kid who came up to me for a CD to get signed at my in-store signing. And that kid is the genius Alan Sampson. And he was 17 years old or something at the time, and he gave me a CD and he was like, hey man, I make beats and I'm a huge fan of yours and I would love for you to check this out. And I said, yeah, of course, man. And I did, in the car. And then I called him because he had his number on it. And he was like, wait, you actually heard it? I was like, dude, forget actually heard it. We're working, let's go. And that was the start of a beautiful relationship, a beautiful partnership of just gorgeous music, because we were aligned in that way. There were no other writers involved, no other producers, just me and him in a garden shed writing all of these songs. The Lil Wayne feature was a really beautiful moment that I will never forget, because I had asked Slim and Baby, I'd said, look, come on, man. Come on, Wayne's your boy, you know what I mean? Hook it out. They're like, yeah, man, we got you, man. Don't worry about that, we got you. And I was like, okay. I didn't think it was necessarily gonna happen. I remember Slim called us and he was like, yo, need you to come to the studio. There's a problem with the song. Like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, we've been listening to it, we're not sure. He's like, we'll show you what part. I came down, we're sitting there, I'm like, okay, we're listening. And then of course, Wayne's verse comes down like she's supposed to be. All of us who had written the song, we all got up. We're like, what is going on right now? And then Slim and Baby's faces were priceless because they had these big, huge smiles on. It was just a really lovely moment, man. And that verse, of course, is epic and one of the most famous rap feature verses, I think, on any pop song. Everybody knows the lyrics. And that's how we heard it. All or Nothing, again, is personal because it describes my personality. You can ask my wife, it drives her crazy she's like, why does everything have to be so drastic with you? It's all or it's nothing. And that's how it is. When I go hard at something, I go so hard. When I don't want to touch it, I don't touch it. I don't want to do nothing. If I love a song, I love a song. And even if everybody else is like, come on, you should try it. I'm like, no, I'm done. I'm over it. When I love something with a passion, I love it with a passion. And if I know it's not meant for me, then I let it go. This new album is me returning to more of my R&B sound. Again, when I do my music, I don't like to it has to be a Jay Sean song. And I think that signature sound, so when I play it, people go, yeah, I know, okay, that's Jay Sean. When I got back in my bag again like that, I knew I had to just go for a whole album like that. And I was feeling so inspired by what's happening right now with the world is finally open and receptive to all types of music, because again, like anybody can put anything up now. And people love stuff from all over the world. And I'm like, okay, this is my bag. This is what I do best, to blend these genres and stuff. That's what a lot of this album is. And I actually went to India for a few months to record a portion of this album, because what I wanted to do, I've toured India so much, I go there every year. And I'd started meeting these new up-and-coming producers and songwriters. And I remember just being blown away by just how they reminded me of what me and Rishi were like 20 years ago. Because that's them now. These guys are 22 years old, 23 years old. They've grown up with the internet. So they've been listening to hip hop and R&B as well as Hindi and Punjabi and all this stuff. So they're like Rishi and me 20 years later. And so I got in the studio with these guys, and it inspired me. It brought new, fresh ideas and melodies back to me again. And I think that was a really beautiful thing, to be lifted like that and inspired like that. Ikky and I have been sort of talking about working together for a minute. I was in LA on a writing camp for my album. Ikky came down for a day from Toronto. I was like, okay, we got a day. We got a day to write a smash. I don't think people understand how bizarre that is. The pressure of being in a room. You might not get anything. It might all be crap. Or you might hit magic right there on the first one. And that's exactly what happened. What I liked about the session with Ikky was he didn't just sit there and play me a bunch of beats. He brought his whole thing. There was keyboards, there was the drum machine, there was everything. The MPC, there was the whole thing. His bassist, his boy who was on the bass, and it was all being built from scratch. So that guitar sound and all of this stuff, the track was coming together. When I'm in a room like that, forget it. Then just give me a mic. Give me a mic, because everything that comes out of my mouth is gonna be the first thing that I'm hearing, and I need to get it recorded. So as they were building, I got straight onto a handheld and I was recording melodies while they were building the track. And it was just fun because it reminded me again of like how I enjoy making music. It's coming from a place where you're not thinking, you're just feeling. And that's how Heartless came about. 3 a.m., our entertainment company and our record company, is something that I have been wanting to do for a long, long time, okay? Now, the truth of it is, when I started my career 20 years ago, how many Indian pop stars could you name? How many people from South Asian background could you say, oh yeah, I saw them in Billboard magazine, or I saw them perform on the MTV stage? It just wasn't happening. And what used to baffle me was, how are we the largest demographic on planet Earth? And where are we? Where are we in these magazines? Where are we on the billboards? Where are we on these stages? And nobody was looking at us for that. And I was like, well, if you're not looking, I need to be the stage. I need to be the platform. I need to create a platform for us where I can support my people, because I know that there's so much great talent out there from the South Asian background. But if you guys aren't looking here, I'm gonna try to give them a safe place where they feel supported, where they can shine. And hopefully I can take them from like whatever they're doing already to the bigger platforms, which I have had success in over the last 20 years. It's something that I'm very passionate about. I want to be able to pass down, here, come on guys, let's go. Doors open, come on, let's go through. Yeah. All of us. And that's what 3 a.m. is about. And it's three of us, myself, Jeremy Scala and Jared Cotter, who are the people that I wrote all my biggest hits with. So we're family, we understand each other, we understand the South Asian music scene. And yes, there are a couple of acts that we've already signed, but we can't talk about them yet. But trust me, we are actively every single day looking for hot talent from the South Asian community. Yo, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed all of my chit chat. Of course, go check out the brand new song Heartless featuring Ikky. Right now, there's a link. They'll be here. They'll put the link here. Click it, or just you type it in. Go check it out. Peace.